Wow, some big breaking news coming in late tonight. It's nearly midnight, and there's news coming out that INEOS are holding a meeting tomorrow morning to discuss the future of Ruben Amorim after his comments and outburst. They are now going to review his position, and his future at the club is in serious doubt. Ruben Amorim could be getting sacked in the morning. I'm going to get into these and going to get into reports. We've got updates from Ben Jacobs, The Times, Fabrizio Romano. More has come out just now. But what I will say is, INEOS are now reviewing Ruben Amorim's future after comments he's made, because he's made comments about them, because the fans are now turning on INEOS, because the fans have woken up and said, well, they ain't backing Ruben Amorim. The fans are now waking up to INEOS' incompetence. Why weren't you reviewing Amorim's performance after Grimsby? After Everton? Why weren't you reviewing Amorim's performance? You're reviewing Amorim's comments, not his performances. He should be sacked on his performances as a manager, not his comments. Because INEOS want to protect themselves. INEOS want to protect themselves. Let's get into the news. Ruben Amorim's future at the club is now in doubt after his post-match comments today. Surely his future should be in doubt because he's lost more games than he's won. I feel like if Ruben Amorim was a yes man and said nice things about INEOS, I don't think they would be reviewing his future at the club. But because he's no longer being a yes man and he's frustrated with INEOS, they're now reviewing his future at the club. Because he's spoken out against the hierarchy, the board. He's basically said, I've not been backed. He's basically confirmed he's not happy with the situation. Which speaks volumes about the ownership. Because look, Ruben Amorim has done more than enough to be sacked. He's not been good enough. But I worry for the next manager. People say, Alice, you wanted Amorim gone. Am I going to celebrate Amorim being sacked? No. I'm not going to celebrate Amorim being sacked because I worry for the next manager. Because while Amorim's form is sackable and I think we could be doing better with another manager, the next manager is going to have the same treatment from this hierarchy. The same treatment from this hierarchy. Manchester United are expected to review Ruben Amorim's comments Monday morning after declining to respond to immediate aftermath of his outburst. United, INEOS, are having a meeting tomorrow to talk about Amorim's comments. The last time they had a meeting, didn't Ten Hag get sacked? They have their particular meetings that are scheduled months in advance, but the last time they had an emergency meeting after a match, Ashworth went, Ten Hag went. Now you've got Ben Jacobs, who kept saying that Ruben Amorim is safe, that his future is now in doubt. 2 weeks ago, Amorim is safe, Amorim is safe. They kept briefing all season Amorim is safe after losses. Now it's being briefed, Amorim's future's in doubt. There's a meeting tomorrow morning. You know, instead of reviewing his comments, you should be reviewing his performances. You shouldn't be sacking Ruben Amorim because you don't like his press conference comments. You should be sacking him because you don't like his performances. That's what you need to be reviewing. You need to review Ruben Amorim's performances, and you need to look at the managers out there and the managers that are available and say, do you think this, and this manager could do a better job than Ruben Amorim? That's what you've got to do. You've got to look at the manager that you can bring in next week, look at Ruben Amorim's performances, look at the manager you can bring in next week, the players we have available, and if you think that manager would do a better job. And if you think that manager would do a better job than Ruben Amorim, you sack him. If you're not sure, you keep with him to the end of the season until you can get the manager you want. Or you say, you know what? Ollie was close to being sacked. We spent a load of money. We got him Bruno Fernandes, and Ollie went from 8th to Champions League football. Maybe we should actually spend in January, because we've got 65 million to spend on Semenya that we haven't spent. Spend 65 million on the midfielder and see if Ruben Amorim can get Champions League football. That's the decision INEOS have got to make. But it's obviously all coming out now. Breaking. Ruben Amorim's future at Manchester United is in the balance with his strained relationship with Jason Wilcox, a factor that is viewed as unpredictable situation at the club. Basically, Jason Wilcox was falling out of Ruben Amorim, and Jason Wilcox wants Amorim gone. I said this in my live stream an hour ago. Jason Wilcox wants Ruben Amorim gone. Amorim and Jason Wilcox are no longer buddy-buddy, friends, best buds. Jason Wilcox is like, I want you to change. Amorim's like, I don't want to change. And because Amorim's not changing, we're not getting any better. And Jason Wilcox is like, well, he's not changing. We're not getting any better. Boom. And some people will say we are getting better because we're 6th and we were 15th last season. But we could lose 2 games and be back into 15th. The Premier League table's so tight, I just think everyone's pretty bad. Like, Liverpool are 4th, but they're not good. We've won 2 of our last 10 games. We're in 6th. We're not good. Do you know what I mean? We're better than last season. I don't think getting a new manager in massively improves us. But Ruben Amorim showed when he did a back four versus Bournemouth that the squad was better. And he's not gone back to that. And I feel like that could cost him his job, because we've all now seen we look better in a back four and he won't go back to it. Because he doesn't want to do his back four, he's stubborn, and that might have cost him his job. Amorim believed United were prepared to back him in January transfer window should major signings become available, but at the moment that has changed and caused him discontent. He's believed to be informed of this on the authority of Wilcox. I think Jason Wilcox has said to him, your system isn't working, we're not going to give you the players for your system, you've got to adapt and play this way, and we'll spend in summer if you make it work. I think he's been told, adapt or be sacked. I think Ruben Amorim's told, adapt or be sacked. And Ruben Amorim has every right to be mad. I'm not Ruben Amorim's biggest fan. I think Ruben Amorim should have been sacked earlier on, to be honest. I think that he's underperformed as manager. But I'm also aware that Man United needed a midfielder. We knew in summer we needed a midfielder. We missed out on Berrada, but we didn't get Amorim a midfielder. So, first of all, Amorim didn't get a midfielder. We know to make Amorim's system work, he needs wing-backs. We don't have natural wing-backs at the club. So while Ruben Amorim has been bad at Man United and his form is sackable, I'm also aware to the fact he didn't get his wing-backs, he didn't get a midfielder. You have 65 million available for Semenyo, but you're not willing to spend 65 million in January now. You now say you can't bring him any signings in when Amorim knows you have 65 million available. Amorim has every right to be fuming. Because what they're doing to Amorim, they will do to the next manager. So as much as I think Amorim needs to be sacked and he has underperformed at this club, Amorim being sacked, we should not celebrate as a fan base. Because we've still got the same board, the same hierarchy, the same ownership here. That will throw managers under the bus to save themselves. The manager starts calling out the ownership starts coming under pressure, sack a manager, please the fans. I'm not going to celebrate Amorim being sacked because that's what INEOS want. INEOS are under pressure, so they sack Amorim, fans celebrate because fans want Amorim sacked, takes the pressure off them. I'm not going to celebrate that. I think Amorim's performances haven't been good enough, and I think there's better managers out there that could be doing a better job. I think Amorim has had a year to change and adapt, and he's not. And I think if Amorim's not going to adapt, we're not going to improve, and we're not going to have a good season. But I'm not going to celebrate Amorim being sacked because that's a failure on the club. I want Amorim to make it work. The best case scenario for me is they don't sack Amorim tomorrow. They decide tomorrow in their meeting that they're going to bring in a midfielder and they're going to spend some money and do what they can to make it work under Amorim. And Amorim turns it around and he succeeds this season and gets us Champions League football. I'd rather in that meeting tomorrow they decide to spend a load of money and back Amorim to see if we can get Champions League football rather than sack him, bring no one in January and bring in another manager. And this is someone who was Amorim out. I think it would be the best decision to sack Amorim out, to get rid of Amorim. I don't think he's done a good enough job. But I'm worried for the next manager because of this hierarchy. Amorim's form is sackable. Amorim probably should have been sacked months ago. But we rightly gave him time and he's not adapting, he's not changing. So even though we are higher up the league, it's not good football. He needs to go, in my opinion, Amorim. But I worry for the next manager. Because until those above Amorim change, it's going to be hard for the next manager. You know? And at the end of the day, I think Amorim should change and Amorim should adapt. But if they lied to Amorim and said, we're going to back you to play your 3-4-3 and are now asking him to play a 4-3-3, then Amorim has every right to be mad. We know there's tension because the board want Amorim to change formation and adapt. The board are now not giving Amorim power. They're taking away his power when it comes to transfers. Amorim's annoyed. He's now been told to play a different formation. He's now been told he's not getting money in January. And Amorim is starting to show that he's annoyed in his press conferences. It's very obvious there's a rift between him and Wilcox in his press conferences. And now all of a sudden it's coming out that there's issues between Amorim and Wilcox. INEOS are going to have a meeting tomorrow to review Amorim's comments and review his position. AKA, Amorim will get sacked, not because of his performances, but because he turns on the board and the board are protecting themselves. I don't like Amorim, but the board are a bigger problem. I think Amorim should have been sacked months ago, but the board are a bigger problem. You can be Amorim in, you can be Amorim out. If you're Amorim out, you're absolutely right to be Amorim out. If you're Amorim in, you're absolutely right to be Amorim in because of the cycle. I don't think you're wrong to be Amorim in or Amorim out. There's a cycle. I get why people want the manager to stay. They're fed up with the people above him. I get why people want the manager gone because he's statistically been our worst manager by a long way. We've won 1 game in 5. There's an opportunity to get Champions League football. But this board is a failure. They're not doing anything in January. They didn't bring in a midfielder when they knew we needed a midfielder. They brought in a manager that played a back three that needed wing backs and have never brought in an actual wing back. Dorgu's a left back. Played left back. So If it doesn't work for Ruben Amorim, yes, Ruben Amorim failed. Yes, Ruben Amorim was sacked because he wasn't good enough, and it was probably the right decision to sack him if he's sacked tomorrow. But he didn't get a midfielder, he didn't get wing backs, and INEOS lied to him. And INEOS failed to deliver on the promises they gave Ruben Amorim, and they will do that to the next manager. And I'm worried for the next manager. But I think the squad is good enough to get Champions League football. Now I've seen everyone else this season with one game a week, and I think another manager could come in and do that, but I don't know. But there's now reports of a meeting tomorrow of Amorim's future now in doubt. We haven't had this before. Since Amorim's come in, we've not had news of a meeting. It was said by Ben Jacobs, if it comes down to a power struggle between Ruben Amorim and Jason Wilcox, then Omar Berrada is expected to back Wilcox. I meant to share this earlier. If it comes down to a power struggle between Wilcox and Amorim, Berrada is expected to back Wilcox. Basically, one of Wilcox and Amorim could go. It's more likely to be Amorim. Amorim could get sacked because he's fallen out with Jason Wilcox. Jason Wilcox hasn't done a good enough job, either as Amorim. Amorim should be sacked for his performances, not because he's fallen out with Jason Wilcox. But that tells you everything about INEOS, protecting themselves. Thank you for watching. Bye.